Then the Lord spoke to Job out of the storm. He said, "Who is this that obscures my plans with words without knowledge? Brace yourself like a man. I will question you and you shall answer me. Where were you when I laid the earth's foundation? Tell me if you understand." Father, why? I knew I wasn't there when you laid the earth's foundations and drew the limits of the seas, when you told the morning where to stand and told the eagle how to soar, but still I ask, Father, why? Why them? Why give me the parents who bore me? Why let them shape me and mold me and mark me into this girl who's trying to unlearn everything she was ever told? You who do all things well. You who are sovereign and in control of all things. Why would you place me there? Why did Dad only see me when I perform well? He paraded me like a trophy, shining me up for every visitor, boasting in how his girl outdid his boys while I soaked in his praise. They soaked in quiet resentment. My brothers grew to loathe me, for I was the bar they could never amount to in his eyes. But I had no clue what that would do to them, for I was being discipled by pride. The same hands that caress my ears with love would be the very hands used to bruise us all, not for the sake of discipline, but as a result of misplaced anger, uncontrolled anger, pure rage. We knew CPS workers by name. Father, only you know how much I hated those visits, how confused I'd have to be, like I wasn't just hiding and covering my ears like a coward, as he beat my brothers for what felt like an eternity. I remember rehearsing what not to say to the caseworker during the interview and the pressure to not slip up and share too much, knowing if Dad goes to jail again because of me, it'll be worse than the last time. No amount of church services, theology schools, nor leadership titles that you would give him would rid him of this anger. Sore bones, black eyes, PTSD, yet something inside of me still wanted to crawl into the arms of my oppressor. Am I broken? Because after the beatings, I wanted nothing more than to feel his love for just a moment. Mom would attempt to save us by literally standing in the gap, pleading on our behalf, but the most she could do was lessen the blow. Speaking of Mom, Father, why wasn't I enough for her? Dad sang my praises, but I can't remember a single compliment from her. All I remember is her hating how I dressed, how I preferred shorts and t-shirts over dresses, a simple ponytail over the elaborate hairstyle she wanted me to wear. Actually, Father, I do remember Mom leaving me letters in my bedroom every now and again about how she felt about me, but why couldn't Mom tell me she loved me? Why couldn't the words she wrote fulfill the longing I had to hear her express her affection for me? Why were hugs simply not a thing? I wasn't I wasn't the girl she wanted, the one she hoped for. I wanted to be outside playing with the boys. I didn't want clothes for Christmas. I wanted baseball gloves and basketballs. Did she not know that sports were my escape? That when I was playing, all the troubles would fade away. No pressure to perform. For the moment, I was free. I remember how Dad would demean Mom in front of us. He would make fun of her cooking, take a little jabs at her here and there for not being educated like him or having a job. He worked while she managed the house and five kids in an excellent way. And Father, you know that that's the arrangement that they had, yet that's the basis to which he would use his argument to claim his superiority. I don't understand it. And she never defended herself, ever, not a single rebuttal. Her silence was deafening. What Dad must have said must be true, right? Because she never defended herself. I mean, she never denied it or argued with him about it. If that's what it means to be a woman, then I don't want it. I remember Wella pulling me away from playing video games with my brother so I could cook with her. Wella told my 9-year-old self that women are to cook, clean, and serve their husband, not play. Groomed as a wife before I even hit puberty, I despised marriage. Father, I thought you made a mistake. I believe I was supposed to be a boy. Boys have power and voice. They're strong and dominant. There's freedom in being a boy. Girls are sweet and gentle and submissive, but I've always been fierce. Girls must be quiet, but I've never been able to hold my tongue when I see an injustice. I hated femininity. I could never understand why I was made this way. When I looked in the mirror, all I saw was a boy. I remember having false memories of having male genitalia. Gender dysphoria was my reality, and I wasn't even 10 years of age yet. Confusion was running rampant, and only you knew, Jesus. I felt like a boy, but loved boys a little too much. Did my cousin touching me play a role? I knew what he was doing was wrong, but eventually it felt good. I hated him and I loved him all at the same time. He always made fun of me for being boyish in public, but showed me affection behind closed doors. Confusion grew more and more familiar. I was double-minded in every single one of my ways. Father, you could have done something about this. You knew how worse it got when mom left. Dad grew more hostile. There was no one left to protect us. I hated being home. I hated her for leaving. And I had to figure out womanhood all by myself. What does femininity look like when you've only seen it weaponized or wasted? High school put a demand on my identity. Being a tomboy wasn't cute anymore. So I grew into myself. I changed my style. I did my hair. And I grew to like what I saw in the mirror. And I was 13 when I lost my virginity, Father. That moment opened the door and I walked straight through it. I learned that my body could give me what I couldn't get at home: affection, access, validation, and power. I became good at playing the game. No strings, no feelings. Sex was my empowering tool, a way to stay in control. I didn't want relationships. I wanted an escape, because some nights it felt safer to lie beside a man I didn't want than go back home to him. Father, you knew. You were there when the power went out at our house. Why would Dad take the boys to his brothers and tell me to fend for myself? I didn't want to entertain that man. I wasn't attracted to him at all. He was old enough to be my dad's uncle. It seemed like the prior months he begged me for sex all amounted to this one moment. I could feel my dignity begin to fade. He texted me and offered more money than I'd ever had at once. That day, I finally gave in, with conditions. I knew I couldn't go through with it if I were sober, so I had to request a bottle and blunt be ready for me beforehand and money after. He made sure his wife and kids weren't in the house. I was so intoxicated it was over before I knew it. When I got home and looked at the money in my hands, Father, only you knew the emptiness I felt. How I entered my dark, cold room and fell to the floor and cried to you, but I heard nothing. With all that money in my hand, I could never amount to my worth, and I knew that. But my life consisted of going from one bad relationship to the next: domestic abuse, drug use, and more. Where were you, Father? Where were you?
Oh, daughter, if you only can see yourself through my eyes, the way you learned to see yourself has been distorted. By pain, by people that was never part of my design, I am about to restore your vision. I will teach you who you truly are. Your father, there are places in his heart he never surrendered to me. I did not choose his anger, but I was there. When you wept, I wept. When you was hiding, I was near. When your soul fractured under the sound of violence, I was holding the pieces. I can't make decisions for him. I do not override free will. For love to be real must be chosen. But I never stopped surrounding you with my love. There's a legacy of pain that runs deep. Your grandmother was enslaved by her own grandfather in Puerto Rico. Her mother left for the U.S. to prepare a better life for her family. But your grandmother was led to believe she'd been abandoned. That sorrow mixed with abuse hardened her heart. She has been beaten for imperfect meals, punished for floors not cleaned just right. So she survived by growing stronger, not soft. When she became a mother, she loved the only way she knew how, through provision, not affection. And your mother inherited that same devotion, deep but quiet. She gave you everything she had. And daughter, you was always her favorite. She delighted in you, even when she doesn't say it. And I delight in you even more. You asked where I was when you gave yourself away. I was there, not looking away, not ashamed of you, but breaking with you. I was the one who grieved when you had to numb your soul just to get through the night. I was the one who stayed when shame crept in like a flood. You cried out, and though you didn't hear me, I was beside you on that cold floor. Because, daughter, no amount of money in your hand could ever measure your worth. Because I know your worth. Because I assigned it. You are not abandoned. You are not a mistake. You are mine. The enemy wanted you to hate womanhood, to despise your softness, to run from your reflection. But I did not call you woman as an afterthought. I called you woman as a revelation. Do you not know? I refer women as a helper. The very same word used to describe my spirit, the Holy Spirit. This does not imply less than, but speaks to your ability to strengthen and support. Your identity is rooted in divine purpose, not defined by social rules, nor is it to be compared to that of a man.
It is women who carry the promise of redemption. It is women who bears life. Women are a threat to the kingdom of darkness, and hell knows it. Satan seeks to undermine my authority, distort my purpose, and sow confusion and fear. As surely as Deborah is a woman who led Israel politically, militarily, and spiritually, I am a woman. As surely as Esther is a woman who risked her life to save her people from genocide, saying, "If I perish, I perish," I am a woman.